Hey guys, St. Monkey Trucker here with another video. This one's going to be a little bit different than the past videos I've made, just because in the past I've noticed it's all been kind of like praising Prime. So this is going to be my first video where it's going to show a little bit of frustration with the process. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy my rant. If you watched my last video, I was finishing up the boot camp and the safety classes and stuff like that. Finished all that. At the end, they shook my hand, said, "Congratulations, you're now a A-seat driver, which means you can drive alone." So that was all cool, dandy, stuff like that. And as I mentioned in my last video, I planned on going company for a little bit, so my fleet manager started the process with that to get me a truck. There were some trucks available that I mentioned in the last video, the 2019 and 2023 Freightliners that were brought in. They were taken back to Springfield and assigned out there. So he's like, well, right now we don't have a truck available for you. We can ship you out to Springfield, or you can just kind of stick around your house for a little bit until we can get you one. I'm like, well, okay, well, how long's a little bit? He's like, probably be a few days. I'm like, I could live with a few days at home. So I chose that. Got a call a few days after that saying, hey, we got a truck for you. I'm like, all right, cool, awesome, let's do this. And he's like, okay, well, there's one problem. It's at the dealership getting some repairs done that were not disclosed from the previous driver of the truck, but it was things that should have been taken care of that weren't. So it's like, yeah, so your truck's over at Peterbilt. I'm like, oh, Peterbilt. And he's like, yeah, it's the only truck we have available. And really, as a company driver, you can say no, but it's got to be for a valid reason to turn down a company truck. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the info on? He's like, well, it's a 2020 Peterbilt 579, and it's got like 400,000 miles. That's like all the information I had. I'm like, okay, do you have a color? And he's like, well, according to this, it's called Sunset Orange, whatever that is. Like, all right. So, I'm like, any idea how long it's gonna take to get done? He's like, it's just getting some new shock absorbers and it's getting a brake valve. Should be a day or two. I'm like, all right, I can live with that. In fact, I was up near the terminal, which is also right next to the Peterbilt dealership, so I decided to go pay a little visit just to look at the truck. I love the look of this truck. My only thing with the truck that I do not like is the fact it is the PACCAR motor. I don't like them. They got too many issues. In fact, Peterbilt last few years has a lot of issues. If you talk to anyone who drives one, they will claim that they spend more time in the shop than they do on the road. I don't know if that's true or not, but I figured, okay, it's a company truck. If it breaks, they pay for it and I get layover pay. But found the truck in the Peterbilt dealership parking lot, waiting to get some work done on it. It's a beautiful truck. I don't know if I'll post the video now, or not video, the picture now or at the end of this video, but I took a couple pictures with it. It was locked and the dealership was closed, so I was not able to take a look at the inside. But the exterior of the truck was in, I would almost say, near mint condition. Whoever was driving it took very good care of the outside. I didn't see any dents, scratches, anything out of the ordinary with the truck. It's got CB antennas already on it. It's got the visor across the top of the windshield already on it. It's got the headache rack on the back that I wanted, which is the two big doors with kind of a shelf on top where you could put all your tarps. The deer guard was rusted up, but that happens with them. Tires all brand new shock absorbers all the way around. So the truck looked really, really clean, and I was excited with it. Love the color. I'm a big fan of orange. Big fan of the orange color. Had like a barbed wire pinstripe all the way around it. It was a really good looking truck. And I started doing a lot of research on how the interior looks, stuff like that. I was able to peek in through the windows and see the front. The front did look clean. Seats weren't torn, anything like that. It was one of the more loaded models. So over on your little center console thing, instead of just being all the analog gauges, it's actually almost like a computer screen with built-in GPS. It works with the radio. It's got the digital gauges that you can scroll through on them. It's kind of like a little, I don't know, like a little brain right there in the middle that has all your extras on it. A few of the features I do like about the Freightliner is all the radio, the buttons, the headlight switches, stuff like that. All that is more accessible, because like if you want to use the radio on the Freightliner, you gotta stretch because it's almost on the passenger side of the truck. And it's got some really nice features that I like over the Freightliner. And it already comes with a built-in TV mount back in the back, which is nice because then I don't have to try to jerry-rig a mount in there for a TV. Also, it's got one of the larger beds in the industry. Someone told me it's like 4 or 5 inches bigger, like wider than the Freightliners. There's one of those doors that would be at like the head of your bed that opens up, that gives you access from the exterior to when you're on the outside, you can access on the bunk or underneath the bunk, which is really handy for like groceries and stuff, because you can open that up, throw all your groceries up in there, and then climb up into the truck and unload it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of features I like about it. I was trained on the Freightliners. I'd be perfectly fine with the Freightliner. Plenty of room, plenty of space. The one thing I really did like about this truck, because I think they look really, really good, is it is a mid-roof. So it doesn't have that big mohawk on the top like all the other trucks. It's flat top, looks clean, it looks really good, really mean. It's a lot more boxier looking than the Freightliners. So I was happy with it, and I was okay waiting a few days. Fast forward a few days, I get a call from Success Leasing, because as mentioned in the previous video, they're over all the trucks, company or lease, and they're like, hey, bad news, the truck that you're waiting on, parts are back ordered. It's gonna be probably a few weeks. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean for me? And they're like, well, we're not gonna pay you to wait a few weeks for a truck, so we're going to have to assign you another truck. And first of all, I was a little shocked because I was told I was not getting paid, but they're like, no, you get what's called layover pay, and it'll get paid once you get onto your truck. You'll get paid for the time that you were waiting. Just like, okay. So when I get my first paycheck, we'll see if that's true or not. But anyways, they're like, we don't have any flatbed trucks ready in Salt Lake. So what we're gonna have you do is we're gonna have you grab a truck from the Salt Lake terminal and bobtail it to Missouri. And this is a reefer truck. So they're like, yeah, we'll just have you grab a reefer truck and just drive it to us, and then we'll convert it over to flatbed. I'm like, okay, how long is that process? A few weeks. Okay, so I can wait for this good looking truck for a few weeks, or I can drive to Missouri and wait a few weeks. Yeah, pretty much. Like, okay, well, that doesn't sound fun at all. Honestly, if I'm going to be waiting, I'd rather wait at home with my family. And she's like, well, we can give you a couple days to think about it. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, you guys are over the leasing too, right? She's like, yeah, we cover them both. I'm like, okay. What's the wait period if I just decide to go lease? A few weeks. I'm like, okay, so either way, I'm out a few weeks. She's like, yeah, pretty much. Like, all right, give me a couple days to figure out what's gonna go on with my family and what's gonna happen there. So during this wait period, some family things, shit kind of hit the fan. I was previously married. I have 2 kids with her, and she was a really big support in doing all this. She had a big support team here, and that just allowed me to get out on the road and do things. Well, her support team just kind of crapped out on her, and she's alone. In fact, they kicked her out of the house. So I have now had to move my children and my ex-wife into my apartment. She was living, just sleeping on an air mattress in their bedroom because I have a room for the kids. And she's had to switch from like office work to remote work. So now she's having to work from home. She's having to work more hours and deal with the kids all at the same time by herself. So I've had to use this time to try to get her up and running, get her situated, and just kind of give her a little bit of a break before I take off, because now she's not going to have any help with the kids when I leave. So that's been fun. Well, fast forward a few more days to last night, or yesterday. So yesterday, my fleet manager reached out to me yesterday morning and said, "Hey, what's your plans?" I'm like, well, this is what is going on with Success Leasing. This is what's going on with the trucks, and this is what's going on with my family. And I told him, I'm like, you know what, with my ex-wife losing her support team, I'm going to need substantially more time at home. And if you're unfamiliar with it, Prime gives you 1 day off for every 7 days worked, and you can accumulate that over time. So you work 14 weeks, you get 14 days off. Which wasn't going to be enough time. So I told him, and I felt bad about it because he'd busted his butt to get me through all this training. I'm like, I think I'm just going to have to go straight lease. I need the freedom to make my own schedule, to take time off that I need to help with the family. I need to make sure I'm available to be a dad if needs be. And the ability to make more money faster. He got a little bitter with that. I mean, he's still in communication with me, but you could tell that he was bitter because he would not be over me anymore. Lease drivers have their own dispatchers, and company drivers have their own dispatchers. So, yeah. Anyways, told him that, and he's like, okay, well, you're gonna have to take all the classes. And I'm like, yeah, figured, that's fine, let's get me signed up. How do I do that? Do I get reassigned to fleet manager and then he signs me up? He's like, no, I still have to take care of it until you are actually leased onto a truck. I'm like, okay. Last night, around 10:30, Road Assist gets in contact with me. If you haven't had to deal with Road Assist, it's hit or miss. The guy I'm dealing with, fantastic. He goes out of his way on his personal time to be in communication with the drivers and to make sure everything's good. So he contacted me last night about 10:30 and was like, your truck's done. I'm like, what do you mean my truck's done? Like, the Peterbilt you've been waiting on, it's done. Parts came in a lot faster than we had planned, so truck's done. I'm like, okay. Well, I just kind of told my fleet manager I'm going lease, so I don't know how that's going to work. He's like, well, talk with your fleet manager. So fleet manager calls me this morning and says, hey, the truck's done, when are you available to go? I'm just like, we just had this conversation, I'm going to go lease. How would me taking a company truck affect my ability to get on the lease driver wait list? Because there's a waiting period and there's people in line in front of you for trucks. And I'm still waiting on a response for that. Because my understanding is if you are on the lease wait list, you're home and you wait. But he was almost making it sound like I could go drive company while I'm on that wait list, and then once they have a truck for me, turn in the company truck and hop on the lease truck. If that's the case, I'm okay with that, because it'd probably be a month or so until I could get onto a lease truck. Anyways, it's just been a lot of frustration, a lot of back and forth, a lot of waiting, and very poor communication between everyone, including on my part. Like, as soon as I talked to Success Leasing and they told me it was going to be a few weeks, I should have been in touch with my fleet manager, because he needs to know this stuff. because he had no idea about any of this until Success Leasing called him and kind of told him what's going on. And so, yeah, just poor communication all around. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm deliberating, I don't even know if that is a word, on whether I should take the company truck, the Peterbilt, drive it until I can get into Success Leasing and lease a truck, or if me taking the company truck is going to screw that up. I don't know. I gotta find out details. But as mentioned, the communication's kind of poor right now. He's still a little bitter with me. So response time has slowed down. It's been fun. This is like, I wouldn't say it's like a super negative thing, but this is like the first thing with Prime that I've had to deal with where I wanted to put my head through a wall. Just because I rushed through all of my training so I can get on a truck fast. And I've been sitting home for 2 weeks now since I finished training. Like, I finished training, sat for half a week, finished all the training courses, and now I've just sat here for 2 weeks with no communication from anybody except a random one here and there. No pay. Having to deal with all the family stuff. It's been interesting. But hopefully the next video I am on a truck. So, as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, just want to say hi, post them down in the comments below. I still answer all my comments that make sense. I've had a couple of like gibberish posts that make no sense, so I just kind of like them and leave them. Also, thank you for all the new subscribers. We're up to 123 subscribers last I checked, which is fantastic because I started doing these trucking videos with 9 subscribers. So just kind of show you how much I've grown since then. I really didn't expect to gain any followers, but I appreciate y'all. For those who have used my driver's code, I really appreciate it. On a note, if you guys join Prime and you want to give out your referral code to other drivers, I was told when I started training it was $200. It is in fact $100. I've been paid out for one of you guys so far. I'm not going to mention any driver codes or anything like that, just for privacy reasons. But I have started to see a little bit of the kickbacks for people using my driver code. And if you haven't used my driver code already, it's down in the description section. When you call a recruiter or you're filling out your application, it'll ask you for your referral if you had one. Just put down that driver code. It's HAUZRK. And I get a nice little bonus back out of it. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel for more updates. Like this video, share it, hit the bell for future notifications when I post other videos or shorts. As always, stay safe, guys, and I will see you in the next one.